It's Monday, June 2nd. I'm Scott.
I'm Rim.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, denial of service attacks. Let's do this.
So over the weekend, we did something that until now has really never been done in the history of humanity. It was kind of amazing, and I can't believe we pulled it off.
Well, I don't want to brag, but I was the person who suggested it, and I'm betting that without my constant prodding, it would not have occurred.
I don't know about constant prodding.
I prodded at least 4 times.
It was pretty much, hey, let's do it, and then we all went around getting everybody.
You realize before that moment, I had prodded to do it like 3 times.
When?
You just weren't there. I was prodding, not you. I was prodding James and other people's.
But yeah, we over the weekend. Well, actually, it was a crazy weekend. First, on Friday, we stayed in the city and we interviewed Hal Callie, with Brian Nishi, Tokyo FM, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later. Probably.
And then we ate once again at that place right next to Grand Central.
The Central Cafe / Pershing Square.
Yep.
I really want to get that breakfast.
Well, this weekend at the Mocha.
It's how true.
I think that's going to happen.
Yep.
But then, immediately in the morning, we attempted to drive out to James and Lisa's wedding.
Huh?
Which was somewhat held up by the fact that Scott suddenly decided, out of the blue, we're like, all right.
It wasn't out of the blue. Basically what had happened is...
in the morning, I'm like, all right, I'm going to pack, and then we'll go. And Scott's like, oh, yeah, well, I'm out of deodorant, so we got to go to the grocery store so I can buy some. Oh, yeah, and I got to get an oil change on the way, so we got to stop and do that.
Well, basically, I tried to get an oil change earlier, and I failed, when I had a day off, and then I failed, and then I realized, hey, we're going to pass by one on our way.
Kinda.
Yeah, and I'm like, hey, we'll just go and get it.
Yeah, so we're going to pass by a Valvoline.
And it happens to be next to a grocery store, so how convenient.
Yeah, except we're going to pass by a Valvoline on a Saturday late morning, which is pretty much when everyone in the world decides to get oil changes.
Yeah, so I decided not to get an oil change, which was a good thing as it turns out. Anyway.
Yes, but the problem here is that because we'd gotten off the freeway to get the oil change, Scott got on the wrong road.
Well, basically, we live on Interstate 84. 84 crosses with 87, and those are like the 2 ways to get upstate, are either take 87 and then 90, or take 84 to 17 to 86.
No, to 81.
81.
86 is 17.
I know, 86/17.
But see, the real trick...
to 81 to 690 to 90.
The real trick is 690. That takes you around Syracuse.
Yep.
You don't want to get on 481.
Well, you do if you want to go out even to the crazy places.
Well, you get on 481, I guess, if you're going east, but who would be going east?
Well, you can also
south?
take 86 to, you can go to 390 instead of 690.
The problem is 86 doesn't go all the way there yet. So it's like freeway, and then like 25 miles of 35 mile an hour 1-horse towns.
Yeah, anyway, the point is that since I'm just I knew that we were going to try to take 17/86 up instead of taking, 87 to 90, and it is a much faster route to take the 17/86.
Yep, because that's the way I go back actually kind of often, because Emily's family's out in Rochester.
Yeah, that's the way we came home. The only issue is because just being over in, the place where we got off for the oil change, when I'm over there, my natural instinct is just get on 87 North, and I did. And I'm like, oops.
Yeah, the worst thing is he's going toward 87 North, and I'm like, Scott, why are you getting on the thruway? And by then it was way too late for him to get off the thruway, and the next exit was in Poughkeepsie, at which point we might as well just stay on the stupid thruway and go through Albany.
Yeah, I was like, Rim, if we lived in Poughkeepsie, would you have gone south and then gone, west to get on 17, or would you go just north?
Well, here's the problem. If I lived in Poughkeepsie, I would have gone south.
Really?
The reason is, if you're in Poughkeepsie, you can't just get on the thruway. You actually have to take 299 way across, and that's like the worst road to be on.
It's true.
Because we were at the same longitude as Poughkeepsie. But if you want to go east-west to get to Poughkeepsie, you actually have to drive a ways.
Yeah, but anyway, so... We took a slower way there, but we still got there before almost everybody.
Except Scott Johnson, who actually went to Rochester the day before, the old stomping grounds.
Yeah, only the people who had to be there earlier or decided to be there earlier were there before us.
I think the best part was
at least crew people. I'm sure family people were there before us.
At first I worried, we're running so late, whatever. Because we also, independently of all that, I was super slow waking up, and I hadn't even packed, and neither had Scott, and we were just like, whatever, and we're slow. And then we're about to go. We're just going to grab Emily and get on the road. And we see, oh, there's Alex. He hasn't got left yet. There's his van.
Yeah. But it was good because, despite getting there early, we had a lot of time to just sit around and do nothing
Which
before
was
the wedding.
wonderful.
Which is great considering we haven't had a lot of that lately. I was able to sit around and read comics and not worry about anything because I was in a hotel with the broken Wi-Fi. And all right. And that brings us to the next point, which is we're gonna change some stuff up here because we have no time.
Yes. Now, if we were just going to keep doing Geeknights as is forever, we probably would have kept the old format. But basically, we've been, for a long time, we got a lot of side projects. And I think that most of them are pretty much as cool as Geeknights. But by doing Geeknights 4 nights a week, we really can't do any of those other projects in a reasonable span of time.
And in addition to that, the quality of Geeknights degrades as we continue to force ourselves to, sort of use all our ideas up really quickly.
Well, part of it was that I think the catalyst was one that his work schedule changed. So he gets home like way late.
And you get home way early.
So I get home at like 5 something.
But you're also waking up way early.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that mismatch there of shifting sort of, an hour in each direction sort of screwed us up a bit.
Which would have been fine, but the other problem was, we got the camera, we want to make some video, and we got all these programming projects, and we're doing more and more live stuff, and we're kind of expanding in every direction. And basically, it's either do all of that or do 4 nights of Geeknights 4 nights a week like we've been doing for the last 500 episodes.
Yeah. So we have decided that, you can't reasonably expect anyone who thinks that Geeknights is going to continue without changing forever, you're sadly mistaken.
I wonder if you people realize that we almost completely changed the format and the music and everything at the beginning of season 2.
We wanted to.
We almost did. I had the music all set up, and we just didn't do it.
We just didn't do it. Anyway,
Yeah.
We should do it eventually.
Maybe for season 4.
Season 100? I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, temporarily, what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 episodes a week. So that's going to be, this week will be a Monday and a Wednesday show, and next week we'll make a Tuesday and a Thursday show. So actually, each of the 4 separate Geeknights shows will come out once every other week. So it'll be Monday, wait 2 weeks, there'll be another Monday, wait 2 weeks, there'll be another Monday. So think of it as 4 podcasts that are separate, and each one is bi-weekly.
That's a little frightening, though, because pretty much the only other anime podcasts out there, Anime World Order and Fast Karate. I mean, Fast Karate updated at kind of a similar rate, but they might put out more shows than us now.
Well, at least they might put out more anime. Well, yeah, they do 2 shows a week. So
Some more anime shows.
They'll put out the same number of shows as us, but they will be putting out more anime shows because they'll do an anime show every week and a game show every week. But we have the technology and also the Thursday shows coming out.
But regardless, we don't know how long this will be. It's a temporary thing. Think of it as like a mini sabbatical, except we're spending our sabbatical working.
But also, now, you know how all the time we would say things like we're going to have merch, we're going to have video, we're going to have this and that and the other thing, and those things never appear? Those things are actually going to appear, although I still will not commit to any timeline.
Yes. Though I got to say, wait till you guys see our first t-shirt and wait till you see our second t-shirt, which is now just a concept. But the concept is so badass that I'm looking forward to it already.
And when do you see some of these videos? I mean, the videos aren't going to be like, super awesome to begin with.
They're not going to be college humor quality.
No, but we're working up to it. And I think they'll entertain you regardless.
Right. So, but anyway, also over the weekend, like I said, we were at James and Lisa's wedding. I don't know if we should even wait and do like a whole Thursday show about the wedding itself. There's a lot to talk about.
We could do it next week.
It was kind of an epic confluence, something that hasn't happened in a long time, where basically, with very few exceptions, the entire front row crew was in one place at one time.
Yeah, even, there are even people I haven't seen in like years who we were really close with, but we sort of, got distanced. And then it's like, oh my God, I can't believe you're here. And then it was like, I talked to them yesterday.
I mean, God, who is missing in that picture? We're missing like Nuri,
Evan, and Anand. That's it.
Well, I can't think of anyone else we're missing from that picture.
Of course, the one person that I think was missing is going to be like crying.
Nah, someone's going to be out there. You know who you are.
Yeah.
But the one thing I can say about the wedding for now is that it was very, very geeky, but it was also very subtly and classily geeky. I mean, the vase we brought back, and there were all these little touches, like the cufflinks with the GBAs and the Game Boys.
Yeah, it
and,
wasn't like, you go to a bar mitzvah and the theme is like overt. Like there's just Nintendo characters all over the place, like a kid's birthday party where you have little hats that have Mario on them and plates with Pokemon on them. It wasn't like that. But it had a video game themed wedding. But if you were not a nerd and you did not look closely, you would not have known. It would have looked like just a generic wedding, flowers and colors.
Also, we danced to Numa Numa, and the bride got rickrolled.
That was... And that was the Rick-rolling was not even a front row crew responsibleness.
No, it wasn't. But that's part of it was that the families involved have some geekery going on anyway.
That's for
so
sure.
it was epic.
Yeah.
Also, the front row crew together like that, outside of the context of the Geek House in Beacon, which I guess, Scott always says, hey, it doesn't matter where we are, we just hang out. But context matters a lot because the context of the Geek House, you kind of fall into these mores or these tropes where we watch the YouTube videos and we watch the Horatio and we play the D&D and we do this and that and this and that. And then we go eat at the Cafe Maya. But suddenly we're in a different context and everything changed.
I think the combination of people also matters.
It did.
It's like when you see someone you haven't seen in a long time, you're going to be talking to them a lot more than the people you see every other week.
I talked to like Steve Pomeroy in any depth. I was still working at IBM.
Yeah, I mean, the last time I talked to him like in person was years ago, but I've IM'd him maybe like less than 20 times since then. So it's kind of crazy.
So there will be some epic pictures coming up. Of course, the other thing that probably added to the experience was the serious amount of alcohol consumption.
0 by me.
Yeah, 0 by Scott. I made up for that.
Great. All right.
So this is the new, improved Geeknights.
Yeah, and we can talk long like this because we're only doing 2 a week, and we still have the same amount of, storage space to fill up. So it doesn't matter. This episode's going a little long.
You know what's weird, though?
Who gives a shit?
The moment we started, we decided, all right, we're going to split this up and we're going to cut back on the shows. I pretty much have things to talk about as this kind of opening bit for like the next 2 weeks of the normal schedule. There's a lot's happened in the
That's
last
what I'm
couple
thinking
weeks.
is that by doing the fewer shows, right, it's like I only have to watch one anime every 2 weeks. So not only am I saving that sort of 1 hour of time from not doing the show 1 week, but I'm having to watch less anime in order to keep up, with having something to talk about. And that is where the real time savings is going to come in. And that's where that is the time where we actually sit down and record. Getting that hour back isn't really going to help me put out a video. Not having to watch 2 anime series in 2 weeks.
No. Not having to not watch 2 anime series.
Exactly. Is going to allow me to watch.
Captain,
it's allow me to make a video.
I mean, I'm almost done with Princess Tutu, and I'm working through Kaze no Yojimbo pretty quick.
All right. Anyway, we're going to do a comic.
Yeah, the only thing, though, we're doing the show with a different schedule. Well, now, like we always said, the show quality should go up because theoretically we have more time to research and put stuff together, and it'll be kind of badass. But because this is the first of those shows, we did not save any time from this show.
Well, I mean, we spent the last 3-4 days in the middle of nowhere with no internet, so there's no... how are we going to prepare for this particular episode?
I think that is why we have to do the separate show about the wedding, because that is basically going to be 2 shows. First, the wedding and the crew and everything. But second, the fact that Geneva, New York, I don't want to really disparage the town, but does anyone live there?
I think I've realized how the economy works, though. They just sell wine to the rest of the world.
Wine and weddings.
Wine and weddings.
It was a pretty desolate place. I mean, we thought, there's a cute little main street. Let's go down and...
There was a really good cafe on the main street.
There was.
Anyway, so we should get into some technologies before people go crazy.
Do you have any tech news?
I do indeed. Ram, have you been in my room lately?
No.
No? Anyway. Okay,
I don't really go into your room that often. I mean, what? The studio is in my room, and my room is also the room that has enough, we can hang out in it. It's big. There's a lot of floor space. So why would I go to your room on the other side of the house?
Read some comics?
Well, I guess, yeah, but I haven't read any comics lately.
Yeah, maybe you should.
No, because
anyway.
You'll bring the comics out, and you'll give them to me, and then when I'm done with them, you take them back.
I don't always take them back. Anyway. in my room, there's a computer case, and on top of that computer case, I believe are no less than 6 power supplies.
4 of which definitely work, 1 of which might work, and 1 definitely doesn't work.
One of them is really high quality. A couple of them, one's dented, but I think it works, but it's scary. One's also works, but it's scary. And they range from lots of watts to not so many watts. And there's also another really good, perfectly working one downstairs in the under the stairs. So, like a lot of power supplies. I don't nearly have that many computers.
Now, beyond that, we have multiple motherboards. Some work, some don't. Piles of RAM, all these hard drives that are completely useless.
Yep.
I still have that 12-inch CRT. That came with the first computer I ever owned. I used it in college as my AIM and Winamp monitor.
You know, I built that new computer, and that new computer was mostly new parts. I didn't port over a lot of parts from old computers. You know, I mostly ported over data from old computers. So when I tried to take the old computer out of the case and transplant it, I sort of broke things, and you know, a lot of the parts I have just don't work.
We used to be a lot more careful. I remember when I was a kid, and I any computer part would get used, and oh man.
Well, I mean, when I was in high school, I had $1,000. I bought a computer. That was like, holy shit. But now it's like, I bought a computer, all right.
Yeah. But
anyway.
The other thing is, technology is moving fast enough to where we have more obsolete computer technology than modern computer technology in this house.
Yep. So, and of all that obsolete computer technology, I had to get Alex to give us a motherboard so to be able to make one fully working computer that's mostly working. And
well, we could have used Shezar, but we didn't because
that's not 100% working.
Everything works but one of the USB headers.
It's still not 100% working.
And the Northbridge fan.
It's not 100% working.
Yeah, it is.
I wanted to make a 100% working machine. Anyway, so I got all these computer parts, some working, some not, but not enough to actually do anything useful with. So what do I do with them? So I was thinking of finding one of those places where they build computers and then give them to people who don't have computers, but I couldn't actually find one of those places near here. I think they're in California, those places. So I was like, what do I do? I can't just throw it out. I mean, you can't, throw out computer parts just like you can't throw out a television. It's big, fancy electronics are not disposable things in the trash. You have to get rid of them specially. Like you have to get rid of car batteries in a special way and get rid of tires in a special way.
I know a lot of you out there probably do just throw these things away, but you really shouldn't be. They're not good to be in the garbage.
Yeah, it's not something, a power supply especially is not something you can put in the trash.
Or a CRT.
Yeah, a stick of RAM isn't going to be so bad, but even then, you don't want to throw that out in the trash, right? And plus, think about how complicated piece of machinery that is. And you're just going to throw it out like it's such a complicated thing. It has value just even if it's not working.
Now, we've had trouble in the past. I mean, we had the 1974 color RCA that sat outside on our back porch for almost a month because we couldn't figure out how to throw it away and no one would take it.
It still worked, though.
Yeah, that was the scariest thing. We plugged that bastard back in outside and we turn it on and it works fine and it gets signal.
After being rained on.
Rained on multiple times.
Anyway, so I've been trying to find a way to get rid of them, and I found some electronics recycling places, but none of them are really. One of them, I called the phone number, and no one picked up. Like, it didn't exist anymore, and I was like, great. The post office is going to have a thing soon. I think I talked about this before, where you go, they have special envelopes, and you put, like, an old cell phone in it or something, and you just put it in the mailbox, and for free, they will take it someplace to be taken care of. And that's cool, but it doesn't work for a power supply, even though it might work for, say, a CPU or a cell phone. So what am I supposed to do with these power supplies? Well, Best Buy might come to the rescue. They've got this plan where right now they're testing it out. We're in like 100 or so stores in specific areas like Baltimore and somewhere else.
Yeah, I didn't check if we're on the list. I don't think we are.
No, we're not yet. And there's a limit of 2 items per person per day or something like that. So I get a whole bunch of people to come into the store, like 3 people to get rid of 6 power supplies. And they're going to test to see if this program of them taking away, and recycling your old computer bits is a good idea for them. Because for them, the benefit they get is they get you in the store, And I'm sure also...
it might work, because the last time I went into a Best Buy, I ended up buying some anime, because that's really the best place to buy anime nowadays.
Yeah, except for Amazon.
I don't know, because Best Buy always has the crazy box set sales.
Amazon sells the box sets for pretty much the same price.
Yeah, but I didn't see Escaflowne for
I think what it is
$28.
I think what it is that on Amazon, you're not really, like, it's hard to think of all the anime. So when you see them on the shelf, it's a lot easier to go, oh, this show. Oh, yeah, I remember that. But on Amazon, you have to actually actively search for it in order to find out.
Plus, the last few times I searched for a particular show on Amazon randomly, they were still really expensive.
Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, this might be cool. The thing is, I'm questioning, right? How do I know if I give them a working power supply to recycle? Are they just going to recycle it anyway, or are they going to say, "Hey, this works," and try to sell it or as an open box?
But at the same time, what do you care?
Well,
Because they're taking the burden onto themselves to deal with this thing.
that's true. However, the thing is, why doesn't GameStop just say game recycling? Give us your games to recycle. And then they sell them to someone else and make money off
Well,
it.
I think the value of a game is much more long-term and useful and apparent to the average person. I mean, think. Most of the people going to Best Buy are going to bring their old broken computer or their broken LCD, and then they're going to buy a new LCD. Best Buy is hoping that people like us don't come.
Yeah, that's another good point, right? If I show up with 6 power supplies, right, that counts as 6 items. What if someone shows up with a computer in a case that has a power supply and a motherboard and 2 hard drives in it? That's actually like 5 items.
Well,
Are they going to count that as 5
but you're forgetting,
items?
there's the front panel, the back panel, the side panel.
I know.
So you know what you do? The answer is you bring a case with 6 power supplies mounted in it.
Oh, yeah. You got it.
So I'm getting rid of this computer. I wonder if they'll even open it.
Yeah, I just have like 3 motherboards and they're like, wow, this computer's really heavy. Yeah. See ya.
No, I got, SLI video cards. I have an SLI motherboard.
Yeah. I mean, I could get rid of these things with, say, Craigslist or eBay, especially the working ones.
Yeah, but
it's
the
just
non-working ones.
It's just so much work to do that it's not even worth it, considering
the problem
how
with
obsolete most of these parts
Craigslist is
are.
anytime we try to use Craigslist to not even to sell things, but to give away things, the people who respond, I don't know if they're stupid or what, but they'll respond and say they basically either won't they don't even understand apparently what it is you were giving away, or they say, yeah, I'd like it with no follow-up information, and then they don't respond when you email them back.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, so where do you want to meet? I don't know. Where do you want to meet? It's up to you. You decide. I'll be there. I don't know. We'll meet at this place at this time. No reply. Are you going to show up there? No reply. Yeah. It's not worth that effort. I'd rather just get rid of it than have to, spend time dealing with these people.
Now, is there any sort of limit on the size of things you bring? Like, could I roll a fridge over there?
I didn't see anything like that, but I imagine a fridge might not be acceptable.
Could I have taken the 1974 color RCA?
That's a good question. I think it's mostly targeted at, digital cameras and stuff like that.
What is their policy?
I don't know. It wasn't put there. I'd have to go look into that. But it would be interesting to see what the policy is. Will they even take a power supply?
Yeah, will they take batteries? Will they take electronics I ripped out of my car?
There really needs to be an easier way to get rid of this shit. That's all I'm saying.
Well, eventually, I think our society will get to the point where it'll be a lot like other recycling, because one of the biggest problems with recycling was that early on, it took effort. You had to split up the different glasses and plastics and things, and most people wouldn't bother, and it was a giant pain.
Now they have a machine that does that.
Yes, and that alone,
How
more
that
so than
machine
any other activism, got more people to recycle. If you I put it in a thing, and someone else takes care of it, and that's the way it needs to be to get more people to recycle stuff like this.
And how how recycling sorting machines work is way cool. Like, it's got magnets to pull the metal apart from the glass, and then it's way cool. Way cool. Anyway.
So, the FCC, probably my favorite government organization.
Oh, they're fantastic. I love them.
But despite all their problems, they've decided, now I'll get to the rub, if you will, in this. They've decided that one thing they would like to do is take an unused piece of the 25 megahertz wireless spectrum and auction it off such that whoever wins must offer free internet access over that spectrum, and in return, like the rest of the spectrum that's associated with it, they can use for whatever commercial business they want.
I'm liking that.
Now, the
thing is, what quality of service are they going to offer? Yes, we have giving you free 1 byte per second internet access. Congratulations.
Well, the impetus behind this is partly that a lot of people are saying that it'll get broadband it'll get more penetration in broadband markets, especially in rural areas and that sort of thing.
That's definitely needed. As we experienced.
You can definitely have semi-broadband out there. But once again, the rub here is that at the same time, whoever offers this free internet must censor it and allow absolutely no obscene material to be put over those airwaves.
No, that can't be.
Now, why is the FCC still? Why don't they just give up? Why do we still even try?
I mean, what is the law that the FCC uses to base, the idea that it has the power to actually censor the content?
Well, it does. The FCC their mandate is to regulate the airwaves, and it has been accepted and assumed by the courts forever that includes monitoring the obscenity on the airwaves.
The FCC's job should just be the technology of the airwaves, and if they want to monitor any obscenity or perhaps, people doing, let's say the content of my radio broadcast is criminal, then the FBI should be all over that, not the FCC.
Yes, I mean, I'm definitely of the mind that the FCC should regulate the airwaves. Otherwise, the airwaves become useless.
Yeah, because then I'll broadcast on FM 93.2, and Rim will broadcast on FM 93.2, and it'll be totally useless because everyone in the cars will hear, and it will not be cool.
But I mean, I think you think, Rim will have a lot to say about this, but what can I say other than that? Good God, one, it's impossible. We already can't censor anything because there's no real definition of obscenity that works, and the legal definition of obscenity is pretty much, it's totally subjective.
Yeah, yep. Plus, how are they going to... any filtering mechanism they come up with, someone will find a way around it.
Well, the thing is, even if they try to filter, and even though you can't figure out how to filter and whatever, everyone's different definitions.
Are they going to
filter
out Geeknights because we say fuck sometimes? Are they going to filter out the Penny Arcade?
Luckily, the interesting part is that all the carriers who were looking into these auctions pretty much said, wow, we're not going to bid on that. Why would we even consider dealing with all that crap?
I see. Yes, no one's going to buy that spectrum if they're forced. I mean, someone might buy it, to offer free internet. No one's going to be willing to deal with all that censoring bullshit.
Well,
who wants to put up with that?
Actually, this is the part that's kind of sad. Now, from what I've read, the wireless carriers are not avoiding it because of the censorship. They're avoiding it because they don't want to have to offer the free part.
Well, of course, they don't want to offer the free part either, but I'm sure
the winning bidder would also have to build out the system to serve 50% of the U.S. population within 4 years.
Yeah, that's quite an expense.
And 95% within 10 years.
That's crazy. That even without the censorship, the cost of building up that kind of network far outweighs the value of pretty much giving someone the entire spectrum.
Yeah, basically, the issue here is that while there's the censorship part and the FCC, once again, stepping what I think is beyond the reasonable bounds of its power, it doesn't matter because what they are asking for is technologically infeasible, impossible, and unreasonable.
Mm-hmm. I think I like how... the part I like is just what they did with the other spectrum where they put in sort of clauses like you have to keep it open, And there's questions as to whether Verizon's actually doing what they're supposed to do, but Google's on top of that, so it's all good. And, where you don't have to build, they don't force you to build any particular kind of network. They just said, whatever you do, you got to make sure that whatever you use that spectrum for, other people can get in on that, So I think we're going to see some good stuff soon from that area. So if you haven't noticed, our voices have been going down sort of with this show.
Yep, unlike conventions where we expect to have our voices get hurt a little bit because we'll do, like a Connecticut, we'll like 10 or 11 panels this year. It's going to be crazy. And we always do like all these events. We wreck ourselves, but it's expected. But I always forget, whenever the front row crew gets together in any quantity, we lose our voices because we spend the whole weekend pretty much from when we wake up in the morning till we fall asleep talking loudly.
Well, I mean, I'm with a bunch of people. I want to talk to all of them constantly, nonstop for 3 days. And we happen to spend a lot of that time in a room with a lot of people also talking. So you're going to talk loudly.
It's one
and
thing.
You're going to lose the voice.
It was really interesting because I remember in the early days of the FRC when we'd all be hanging out in like our colony apartment, anyone who wasn't already kind of with or savvy to the way we were, like they'd walk in and it was this wall of sound. There are 8 people gaga in a room and all of them are talking at the same time all the time and it never ends. It's kind of dwindled lately because we've got the smaller crew that lives in Beacon and the smaller crew we play Burning Wheel with, so we see this group of people all the time, and there are very few controversial issues left, and we all know everything going on in each other's lives, so we don't have the wall of sound anymore. But suddenly, new people, every old story got told again.
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't seen someone in 2 years, imagine how much you have to say to them. A lot.
God, especially considering we have something weird happen to us pretty much every week.
Yep. You hear it all in the show anyway, people.
Right. So, things of the day. I'll be short and sweet because we're going long, and like I said, my throat's starting to go. But I like accordions and accordion music, and if you have a problem with that, you can die in a fire. Accordions are really cool instruments.
Yeah.
And this guy, if you don't believe that, even if you don't like accordions, watch this video. It's one of those colleague humor videos, but it's a guy playing Flight of the Bumblebee on an accordion.
Okay. That's it?
Was that your rendition of Flight of the Bumblebee?
Yes.
I mean, remember, accordions are serious business. You can play the melody and the chord harmony simultaneously.
And you have to and while you're doing that, right, you're playing the harmony with one hand, the melody with the other hand, and you have to move your arms back and forth the whole time.
Hey, it's easier than the bagpipes. You gotta just keep blowing.
Well, that bagpipe is all about lung power. The accordion has more coordination required than the bagpipe.
It depends on what you're playing, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess, you can't really... I never heard anyone play a bagpipe like... it's usually like... Danny boy, whatever. I don't even know how that song goes.
Oh, all right. I'm not even going to try to sing.
Anyway.
I sound like one of those smokers.
That's what you are. No, you're not.
Wow.
So,
I think I know why smokers talk that way. It actually is easier to talk like this than to talk in my normal voice right now.
Not really. Okay.
Anyway.
So, open office, it's kind of taken a back seat lately because we have things like, Google Docs and such. But open office still has a place in the world. I mean, if you need a full office suite with, the full office applications, the spreadsheet, the word processor, all that business, and you don't want to pay a ludicrous price for Microsoft Office, open office is pretty much the only viable choice, But it has its problems in terms of performance, in terms of sort of crummy user interface, right? So I found this thing. It's called like Red Office, I think. I don't remember. It's the computer's in the other room. I'm remembering what a website I looked at.
Where's your laptop?
In the other room, charging. Anyway. And basically what this is just open office with a replacement user interface that's far superior according to the screenshots I looked at. So if you like open office and you want a free office suite to install on your computer, but you hate the open office user interface because it sucks, and it does suck, this looks like a good alternative. Why not? So check out this story. This story gave us the idea of what to talk about today. So, the Dig guys, right? They have their Revision 3 company, which sort of does all their video podcasts, the Dig Nation, the Techzilla, Control Alt Chicken. I don't know if they still do that one. They got a bunch of video shows over there, right? And they want to deliver those TV shows, so they put some of them on BitTorrent. So if you want to get Dig Nation with BitTorrent, you can. And they have a BitTorrent server. There's a company out there called Media Defender. Media Defender is a company that is paid for by the evil record companies. And I think I'm safe in saying evil now. And what Media Defender does is they go out looking for BitTorrent servers that are serving up, illegal copyrighted content by the record companies. And when they find those servers dishing up illegal content, they attack them with hacks and DDoSs, to bring down the BitTorrent servers. It's basically vigilante justice in a way, only not so much the justice and a whole lot of the vigilante.
Yeah, I mean, they'll basically flood BitTorrent networks with bad and spurious information to prevent anyone from downloading from them, and hopefully to bring down the actual trackers and everything.
Yep. So, of course, Media Defender sent some packets over to the Revision 3 BitTorrent server to say, hey, what's going on over here? We want to see if there's any illegal BitTorrents on this BitTorrent server. And Revision 3, because it's run by smart tech people, saw these packets coming from this Media Defender, and they're like, what the fuck is this shit? So they blocked that shit. So Media Defender was like, oh, someone is trying to block our shit.
They must be evil pirates.
They must be evil pirates. So basically, Media Defender launched a denial of service attack against Revision 3's BitTorrent server. A perfectly legitimate company with a perfectly legitimate BitTorrent server was attacked by this other company in the name of evil and vigilante justice.
Now, the idea of this sort of thing has always been a very controversial issue, even among white hats. Just the idea that, all right, like here's an example. There's the problem out there. This is a little bit of a stretch, but where there'll be zombie networks and bad computers spewing out spam and all this sort of thing, or a worm that makes people spam bots. What if a good hacker makes a bot that goes around, or a worm that goes around attacking or getting rid of bad computers and cleaning up the internet?
Yeah.
And the battle lines are pretty much 50-50 on either side of whether or not that's ethical, but
Yeah, it's sort of like if I go around and I force everyone to get tetanus shots, you know? I am doing a good thing. There is no question about that. I'm pretty much eliminating tetanus from the human population.
But at the same time, 1% of people are allergic to the vaccine and die.
Okay, but forget the allergic
No,
part.
but it's the same parallel, because even if you write a good white hat worm, 1% of the computers out there are going to get totally hosed by it.
That is true. That is true. And in addition to that, you're sort of infringing upon people's freedom to do with their computer what they want. Why is stealing wrong? Because you're not respecting someone's right to property. So someone else doesn't respect a third party's right to property, so you fix it by not respecting a right to property. It's like punching someone who punched you. You're stupid to their level. So should you do it or not? Who knows? We're working on that one. But anyway, well, this gave us the idea to talk about, the ever-famous denial of service attack, which is quite popular and oft discussed on the internet. And
Yep.
most people don't really understand what a denial of service attack is.
Now, if you hold out, we're not going to talk about the actual Revision 3 thing, because there's a lot more news going on about that, and we're pretty much, you can get that anywhere on the internet. We're going to wait until there's kind of some sort of response. I mean, I know the FBI is investigating it, and we're not sure what's going to happen, but Media Defender basically broke the law. It's just a question of whether or not the law is going to actually apply to them or not.
Yep. But as for a denial of service attack, a denial of service, basically all it means...
It's exactly what it sounds like. A denial of service. You deny someone their service.
Yep. So if someone's serving something, say a web page, and they want to serve others, they want to serve the web page to other people.
Or say someone has a service, like their private computer that happens to be connected to the internet. You do something to deny them access to their own computer.
Yep. Pretty much any service, anything that a computer does, you deny that. You say, ha. It's like going to someone's house and turning off their TV. You're denying them their television, and that's what a denial of service attack is. And there are many, many, many ways to do it. The most popular way is usually by flooding them with so much shit they can't handle it. For example, let's say I got a little web server, right? And it's not so strong. It's a little web server that could, And I put up a funny picture on that web server. And you go to the website and you see the funny picture and you go, ha. But someone else sees the funny picture and they go, hey, I don't like that picture. I don't want this picture getting out. So what they do is they find, by some method, they request that picture like thousands and thousands of times. Say, give me the picture, give me the picture, give me the picture. And because it's only the little web server that could, it goes, here's the picture, here's the picture, here's the picture. Oh my God, stop asking. It's like, imagine if you're at a counter at McDonald's and you're, serving out the burgers and like 1,000 people cram into the store and they all want Big Macs. It's like, I can't give Big Macs to any of you. There's too many. I can't handle it.
Now, the technical details of denial of service attacks would probably warrant an entire separate show. I mean, they range from the very simple, just in the olden days of, I write a script that pings you 1,000,000 times.
Or I send a SYN flood.
Which is just I send you 1,000,000 SYN packets, TCP-wise, trying to get you to open all those connections or sessions. And then there are the much more kind of complicated ones. Like, say I send a bunch of fragmentary TCP/IP packets with overlapping gigantic payloads. And your TCP/IP stack might try to reassemble them, and as a result, because of the way I craft the data, either inject bad code or just hang up your computer, use up all your memory, maybe just lock up all your sockets so you can't actually use your internet anymore.
Yeah, there's quite a number of attack vectors when it comes to denial of service. But a lot of people, actually, when it comes to denial of service, they always talk about the DDoS, not just DOS, but DDoS. And that's sort of like become a colloquial term in a way. But
They're not the same thing, people.
no, a DDoS actually is a distributed denial of service, which is much more specific than denial of service.
This is also the more common kind of attack nowadays because all these attacks and spam and a lot of things, they don't come from like the one evil computer out there in Soviet Russia.
Yeah, if I do a SYN flood, say from my computer to Rim's computer, when it's all cleared up, because it will be cleared up eventually, I can't keep it going forever, he's going to say, hey, all these SYN packets are coming from Scott. Hey, Scott.
Hey, Scott, police are on their way.
You see my fist? You see your face? They are like to meeting.
Yes, if I DOS you in the house, I think you'll... Of course, I think my DOS would be I just unplug your cable from the switch.
I would go flick the circuit breaker and then break the switch off so you couldn't flick it back.
Or I would just go administratively disable your port on the switch.
Nah.
That would take you a while to figure out.
Yeah, I would.
At least a couple minutes.
Yeah. Anyway, a distributed denial of service is when you get a whole bunch of computers all over the place to do a little bit each at the same time.
Now, you can't defend against that as easily. Because, all right, an attack comes in from one computer. I just route that port to a null somewhere. I block it, and then I'm done. I'm safe. And I still can use my network. But if the attacks are coming from effectively random IP addresses all around the world, I can block them by blocking the entire world. And thus, I have just denied myself my own service.
Yep. What's even worse is that a lot of these distributed denial of service attacks, but there are ways to defend against them, but what ends up happening is because it's so difficult to, determine the difference between illegitimate requests for service and legitimate requests for service.
I mean, is my web server being attacked, or did Penny Arcade just link to me?
Right. I mean, if Penny Arcade links to you, you're going to have people from all over the world asking for your web page. And on the network level, if you look at the packets, that's what it's going to look like. If someone sets up a zombie network around the world of zombie Windows 98 machines, and they all ask for your web page, how can you tell the difference between that and you getting linked to on Slashdot or Penny Arcade? There's no way to tell the difference. So any defense that would solve the DDoS would also defend against getting linked to on Penny Arcade and being popular, which is not something you want to defend against.
See, in a well-designed network, though, or a well-designed server, there are ways to defend against most kinds of DDoS attacks in a way that won't deny that sort of thing. I mean,
well, because there are defining characteristics of DDoS attacks, but
also you have to be clever. I mean, most of you out there probably use IP tables in some. Well, I guess most of you who are actually technically proficient with Linux know about IP tables or maybe IP chains and all these things, but if you're clever, you can use hash tables in IP tables, and you can set up rules such as if I receive more than 10,000 packets in a minute that are incoming new connections from this range of IP addresses, then I want to throttle those such connections and log that something bad might be happening.
Yep.
And all sorts of, you can write very complicated rules that will effectively protect you, or at least say you're going to get hit. Like, say you know that your computer can only handle so many requests. You set up rules like that to kind of throttle it as demand increases, to where instead of your server crashing or going down, not everyone gets in all at once. And you kind of, at least some people will be able to get in instead of no one can get in.
Also, depending on the service that you're offering, like if you're offering a web service, it's just web pages, there are a lot of things you can do on that higher level above the networking level to defend against an attack. For example, if you might see in the user strings of, all these web requests, hey, these are all Windows 98 machines. You can just be like, hey, no Windows 98 machines right now. I can obviously tell there's a virus going down. This doesn't look like a normal traffic pattern, because I'd be seeing a lot more, Vista and XP machines if this was normal traffic. There's obviously a virus. Or you can have your work. If you have a blog that's dynamically generated, and because it's dynamically generating the page every time someone visits, you're getting bogged down.
So
you can have some sort of mechanism that caches the web page when traffic is high.
Actually, what you do, usually you should have some sort of caching anyway.
You should, but you can get rid of images when traffic is high.
Well, what you do is you use the hash tables and have the hash tables kick off scripts that do this. So say your website is dynamic because you have a lot of dynamic content. And if requests exceed a certain amount, it replaces your page with a static page until it goes down. But the real tricky part is a lot of people, they They get halfway there. They don't think their clever plan all the way through, and they set up rules like that. The problem is, if you set up these rules incorrectly, you'll basically end up DOSing yourself. Let's say I'm clever and I say, all right, any packet beyond the 10,000th packet in a given amount of time from any given port or whatever, I want to not let that packet in and I want to log it. That just means if you get DOS'd, you're now going to eat up all your system I/O, logging all those DOS packets when you should just be dropping them.
Yep. Or you might even let's say you don't even do logging to the disk, right? You have a separate like syslog ng server. Well, now you got a problem of network slowdown, and if that logging server is not on a backland, your network's going to slow down even more. You might be dropping packets before they even get to the NIC. Oh, it could be bad news.
Yeah, it's actually it's a pretty complicated issue. I don't know. We should probably do separate shows on one, how DOS attacks actually work, and then another one probably on like basic computer defense.
Yeah, at my company we have a problem with this because there's some sort of like weird, we can't even tell if they're attacks, but it's like, hey, there's a bunch of traffic coming from China to this one machine. What the fuck, I don't know. Is it an attack? Is there anyone we hate in China? I don't get it. But
well, remember the easiest way with a small company to figure out what's going on, especially with internal servers as opposed to web servers, just turn it off and see who calls.
Yep.
I don't know how many times I did that at IBM. We're like, what the hell does this server do and where'd it come from? I don't know. Unplug the network cable, immediately my phone rings, and I pretty much say, are you calling about something? He says, yeah, my DNS server went down. Well, you shouldn't be running your DNS server off of this box. So
yeah. But like our company, we have one machine that sort of does this like ping post web service thing. So basically other companies that have accounts with us are constantly sending and receiving like XML to and from this machine all the time. A lot of it, like constantly. And if someone attacks that machine, through that service, it's really hard because it's like, hey, are they just making a lot of legitimate requests or are they destroying us?
Now, here's the problem. All right, so you're getting this XML. You might think, oh, well, maybe we'll write rules in the XML handlers that look at the data. And, like with web forms, you can write things that pretty trivially can tell, like a spam filter, if it's legitimate data or not.
Yep.
Like on a forum, like you just look to see if usernames have more than 8 or 9 consecutive consonants and things like that, or numbers and all that sort of stuff.
But now, since we're doing this test to every XML thing that comes in, it's eating up the CPU because they're doing all these extra tests to see what's valid and what's not.
Yeah, I mean, the higher layer you try to do this checking on, the more you're setting yourself up to be screwed.
Yep. But on the lower layer, you have less information with which to determine what's legitimate and what's not legitimate. And it's much more difficult to actually do the filtering. So it's a big problem all around, at least for defending. For attacking, it's quite easy.
Yes, attacking is easy and fun.
Pretty much all you do is get a lot of computers all around the world, put a virus on them, and have some sort of controlling software, and then just type in someone's IP address and push enter.
That's really the real problem, that so many computers are out there now, and so many people are so technologically behind that I think a lot of people don't realize that their computers are spam bots and that their computer is slow because it's sending spam out 24/7.
Yeah. They just oh, my computer's slow, time to get a new one. Sort of like, they think of it like a car.
So they'll take their computer back to Best Buy. Best Buy will take their computer for free, sell it to someone else after, taking the spyware off, and then they'll sell them a new computer.
That's fantastic.
I think we'll end on this because, frankly, while we're doing the new format, like I said, we didn't get kind of the rest period before, so this is kind of like the last normal episode of Geeknights.
Yeah, and we're not going to do a show tomorrow. No show tomorrow. None. Zero.
Yes. Also, I'm really hungry, and I think one of the upcoming Mondays, let us know. Do you want to hear about the technical details of DOS and DDoS attacks, or do you want to hear about the practicalities of defending against them? Either one, I think, would be an interesting topic.
Yeah, I think those are good. I'm liking sort of like I think people in general are interested in the hacking and defending from hacking topics because even if they're not, actually interested in them, it's like, ooh, hacking sort of has this mystique, that people like to hear about.
Actually, maybe we should there's a third Monday option now.
Hacking mystique?
There's a fourth Monday option now. We could talk about what's like cyber warfare on the technical level. Like what it really is.
That's good.
But I think right now I'm going to talk about a chimmy and maybe some chimichangas.
Uh-oh.
This has been Geek Nights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com, where you'll find show notes, links, our awesome forum, a link to our Frapper map, and links to all the RSS feeds.
We say feeds plural because Geek Nights airs 4 nights a week, covering 4 different brands of geekery. Mondays are science and technology. Tuesdays, we have video games, board games, and RPGs. Wednesdays are anime, manga, comic nights. And Thursdays are the catch-alls for various rants and tomfoolery.
You can send us feedback by email to geeknights@frontrowcrew.com. Or you can send audio feedback via Audio. Just click the link that says Send Me an Audio on the right side of our website.
If you like what you hear, you can catch the last 100 episodes in iTunes or in your favorite podcatcher. For the complete archives, visit the website, which has everything.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 2.5 license. This means you can do whatever you want with it as long as you give us credit, don't make money, and share it in kind. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.